Well, g'day, Emma. It's great to meet you. I've heard a lot about you.
Yes,
Lucy's told me all about the past 18 months for you, but and I understand Stuart Robert was up there as well and got to see firsthand. So, look, I think it's a pretty amazing story. I mean, at a time when I think, Australians are really, we're doing it tough. 18 months, as you know, it's been pretty rough, and people are getting a bit tired of it, frankly, by now. But now's exactly the time when we need to push through, a bit like Ash Barty last night. And
I used to play tennis, so I love watching it.
So tell me a bit about your story. I mean, I know you'd had it pretty rough at the early parts of the pandemic there, but rather than just sort of, check out, you decided to check right in and take it to a whole new level.
Yeah, well, I had 4 jobs prior to COVID first starting, and I was 18 turning 19 right when I started making donuts from home. So I think COVID started in around March, and my birthday was in May. So I just started making donuts at home when I lost all 4 of my jobs, obviously because of COVID. So it just kind of went crazy from home, and I started from making like 28 donuts to 300 donuts in my home kitchen. So and then we just jumped on the
How big's your kitchen?
It's pretty big, well, not big enough for 300. 300. My mum was like,
how many? So are you at home with mum and dad, or?
No, I'm at my shop. I'm at the Wyong shop at the moment. We're cleaning.
Right. Okay. Right. No, but when you were doing that 300, that was like you were sharing the kitchen with mum and everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. So my mum helped me, and then my boyfriend, he helped me, and then I ended up hiring one person to come help in the kitchen.
Was he any use?
He tried really hard.
Moral support. That's good.
Yeah,
it's good to have a partner who's encouraging.
Now that donuts aren't really his thing. That's all.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
He's more into the eating of them rather than the making of them.
He likes eating them. He'll eat them a lot. He always asks me to get more donuts for him when I'm at like an event that I've catered the donuts for. And he'll be like, "Can you grab me one?" And I said, "Well, Darcy, it's a paid catered event. I can't take you over. Can you have one tomorrow?"
Yeah. So you were making them at home, and then you'd obviously found a market and the product that was really taking off. And so how did you go from? I know you're still operating as a sole trader, but then you sort of had to sort of gear up. So tell me about what you had to do to gear up.
Well, we officially are now a company, which is really awesome. And that was pretty amazing to me, especially from having a cake business when I was 16 and I was just a sole trader then. So to become a company, it was like huge to me. And my dad's always had a construction company, so I always looked up to him in that sense for that. But we just decided to take the opportunity at the Wyong store near the milk factory, and we opened a shop here. And we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into. But by the 18th of July, we had opened, and I had 8 staff members hired, and there was only 3 or 4 of us in the kitchen, including my mum still. And we had lines out the door around the block for 3 or 4 months. It was it was crazy.
Wow. So you went from losing 4 jobs to creating 8 jobs.
Yeah,
that's
and now
amazing.
Actually now I believe I have about 40 staff members. So, and 2 shops.
And how many staff does your dad have? Have you already passed him?
No, he has 2 staff. Yeah.
But I think you're right about that. To grow up in a family which is a small business family, then you've got a good understanding of what running your own business is like. You've lived that in your own family life, and it'd be great, I'm sure, to be able to. I mean, he's not making donuts; he's making other things, but to be able to call on his business advice and starting your own small business, that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I was always confident that I was going to have my own business because I knew that because I constantly am thinking of new ideas and new names and new products. And it's obviously just because that's what my family I've been brought up in. But my mum has always been a school teacher, and now she also works for me.
Mum works for you. That's all right. That's that's extraordinary. So tell me, so what product lines are you now expanding into, and where to next?
So when we opened our Terrigal store in December, we opened the Wyong store in July, and then we opened Terrigal in December, and both shops are awesome. So we released a new vegan range of donuts with the Terrigal store. In our normal range of donuts, we have like 20 to 25 flavors, like so many flavors. And then we also brought out a new product with the Terrigal store and now Wyong. So we do fresh frozen custard and heaps of other things. But we're currently in the process of starting a donut dessert bar. So both shops will become a dessert bar at night.
Okay. Wow. You're certainly expanding fast. That would have required a fair bit of investment, though, in your capital. Tell me a bit about how you've been able to pull that together. I imagine you've been working closely with your bank, and hopefully the instant asset write-off and a number of those other measures have been helping.
Well, my dad and my mum have invested a lot into my business, and but in terms of the instant asset write-off, I have spent so much money on equipment, but I spoke to my accountant, and we've actually wrote off all of the equipment that we've bought, and also our delivery van. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Heat.
Well, that's exactly what the Treasurer and I hoped this would do. Yeah. It's been really encouraging to hear some of the stories over the pandemic. There's been plenty of stories that break your heart, but to hear your story and those of others who've gone, you know what, I'm going to give this a crack. I've got an idea here. Some people, when they access their super, they actually put that into. I came in touch with one bloke up in Brisbane who started a transport business, and so he's now supporting himself. He was out of work, created his own business, used his own resources to make that happen. So real self-starters like yourself. It's great to have, your mum and dad support in the business you're doing, but it sounds like it's an investment that's paying off pretty well for them.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Like, definitely a family business. So even though I try to make the decisions, my dad's like, you need to ask me. And I'm like, I will. But it's really good. And so they're all here at the moment because we're redoing new flooring, which is really cool. Okay. So my dad and my brother works with my dad. So they're all here building.
They giving you mates rates?
Yeah, they give me mates rates, but I still have to pay them.
Yeah, a few donuts you'll sling their way, I'm sure. Well, they must be busting with pride, Emma, with what you've been able to achieve. I think it's tremendous what you're doing. Going through this latest, obviously where you are is also impacted in Gosford by this latest lockdown. How are things for you up there at the moment?
This lockdown was quite different, if I'm going to be honest, because last lockdown we started in lockdown. So, I didn't have high expectations, but this lockdown, it's hard to come from, going very smoothly as a business to obviously such a quick lockdown. But there's definitely ups and downs, and the downs are kind of a bit lower, but it's really good. And I always believe in situations like this that there's so much opportunity that a lot of people maybe don't utilize or maybe don't see sometimes. But I always look for the opportunity in it. And for example, with the business, I find the opportunity is the fact that I feel like it's making you do things quicker, if that makes sense. So releasing new products quicker because you want to get them out there but it just, I suppose, kind of almost feels harder to make the same amount of income because you have to do so many different avenues. So at the moment we're offering free delivery to the whole Central Coast, which is huge. Really. We're having over 50 deliveries a day. To go from 10 deliveries to 50 a day is huge.
Right. That doesn't go as far as Kirribilli, does it?
Not Kirribilli, but I'm any further than 25 kilometers from our Wang store. It's only $5 delivery fee, so it's pretty cheap. Like, it's pretty great.
Well, when I get out of lockdown, I'll have to make sure I make the trip when I next up there with Lucy. Yeah, that'd be great. Hey, it is really an inspirational story, but what tips would you have for young people like yourself getting out there and starting a business?
I believe, like, I always hope that my story inspires younger people and older people, because I believe that it doesn't matter what age you start. I started my own business when I was just turned 16, like the day I turned 16. So I always knew that I could do it. And I think with my donut business, it was more the fact that I needed to just be confident in myself and my product. And I always struggled with being confident in my product. So as soon as I became confident in my own product, everyone else was, supportive of it. And I just had to be confident in myself and just do it. I never gave myself enough time to commit to my own business because I worked for so many other people with jobs I loved. I loved every single job I had. And I think I probably loved them too much to give myself enough time to focus on what I'm meant to do. And now obviously lockdown forced me to do what I'm meant to do. So there's definitely pros in the whole thing. I mean, if lockdown didn't happen, I would have been on a plane to the UK to see my family. So,
That's tremendous, and I think it is tough as we're 18 months into this pandemic now, but and there's a lot of things in the pandemic that I know people can't control. They can't control whether there's a lockdown or there's not a lockdown. They can't control, whether they can travel or not travel, and all of those sorts of issues. But I think what your story says is that you went and controlled what you can control, which is what you were doing, and the opportunities that you saw there and how you've been able to convert them. I mean, I think it's just tremendous to see not just anyone going ahead and doing this, but particularly a young person up there on the Central Coast, making it happen and making it work. And 40 jobs, I've spoken to people who've been in business, I suppose a bit like your dad, 30 years, that sort of thing. Thing that they talk about most after all that time, not usually how much they've made or how big the businesses have got. They've talked about the people they've employed, the way they've impacted on people's lives, the number of 21st birthday parties they've been to, and weddings and bar mitzvahs and christenings and all of that thing, because, as a family business, that's what it's all about. It really is that both the lifestyle and the living that you're making, not just for yourself, but for all of those people who are supported by your business. So I just want to say thank you. I think you've done an awesome job, and I'm looking forward to coming and sampling the product the first chance I can get back up to the Central Coast.
Thank you. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I always say that my favorite part about having a business is my staff, and I'm so grateful for the staff that I have. It's like a family that you didn't even know that you were going to have, and it's so nice to have. Like, I'm so proud of the fact I can give so many people a job, especially during this time.
Yeah, that's tremendous. You look after them, they'll look after you, and it all goes around in a positive cycle. So congratulations, well done. Keep going strong, and go Ash Barty this weekend, eh?
I know, go Ash Barty. She'll win.
Good on you. As have you. Good on you, Emma. All the best.
Yeah.